Hi, our guest today is Scott Vecchiolla, one of the 4 people running for the 2 seats available on the Milford School Committee. Welcome, Scott.
Welcome,
Thank
Scott.
you.
So I
Thank you
guess
for
the
having
obvious question is, why are you running for school committee?
me. Well, and Kevin, I ran last year.
Yep.
I learned a lot. I figured I'd go for it again. I saw opening on the board, so I got it right out there right away. I think my experience on Vernon Grove Cemetery Board of Trustees, current chairman, town meeting member, former elected constable gives me the knowledge to be on the board.
What do you do for a living outside?
Stop and shop.
Aha.
Fun.
Pardon?
Fun.
Fun.
Yeah, right now it is.
Are there any burning issues you see in the school committee race?
Not really, but I think you need to get the morale from the top down to the bottom. Everybody on the same page to keep the kids from leaving the district. So a lot of that's happening. I can't blame the kids going for better education in other districts.
Okay. Most of the people who are leaving turn out to be at the elementary grade, grades K to 3.
Don't they leave at 8, grade 8 too?
Well, they leave at grade 8 if they're going to BVT or
Yes.
somewhere else,
Yeah.
but the biggest loss
True.
Oh, really?
they've seen is at the K to 3 level, primarily from the current Woodland School. Any thoughts on that?
That's an interesting question. Maybe the parents just don't like what they see, and they want them to get better education. Maybe we have to get better education for them and keep them here.
Okay. Are you pretty satisfied with the recent school committee votes to name Dr. McIntyre the new superintendent, and then his choice of Craig Consigli to be the new backup superintendent?
Yes.
Okay.
Any changes or anything you do first thing? Anything you'd want to, any projects, pet projects you want to be involved in?
Middle school East building. I like to see what they do with that. I think they should keep it in the town. Don't get rid of it.
Yep.
Because you always should use the office space, and you might need it again for something in the school district too.
It seems a lot of the candidates it will be up to you if you're elected to the school committee, it's your vote whether or not the building is released from the school department. So right now you favor at least keeping it within the town.
Yes,
So even if you voted to release it, you'd want the selectmen not to do anything with it.
true. But I think you're gonna need more space down the road somewhere.
And we own the building,
Yes, we do.
and it has a gym.
And the cafeteria, which you can use down the road if you need another place for election, another polling place.
That's true, but where would people park?
That's a good one.
In the street?
Yeah.
Block traffic. So your first thing you want to be involved in is in the school, where the
Yeah.
school goes. Is there anything else that's a hot button?
A lot of the bullying. People say there's always bullying, but there's a lot more of the social media aspect of it. That's why another reason I think a lot of the kids leave the district, is the parents are tired of them getting bullied, and the higher up doesn't do enough to stop it. You gotta
Well,
get
by law, they have to. If a child makes a complaint of bullying, by law and by policy, the principal of that school has to address it.
Yes, they do. But I see stuff here and there in social media that they aren't satisfied with the outcome, so maybe we can work better with the words, get more communication.
Social media is a tough thing at certain ages because it didn't exist when you and I were
No, it
that
didn't.
age. And I have no clue how people bully each other on it other than to say things about people. But
What's that old saying that we had when we were kids? Sticks and stones can break my bones,
Yeah.
but words will never hurt me.
well, they do.
But they
Do
now they
today.
do.
They do, Al, when you're at an age where everybody wants to be liked and
Yeah, no, I
people mount a campaign of he's of this or she's of that, and
no,
and you don't know how to defend yourself against it. At least with most social media, you can tell who's making the comment.
Yes, you can.
Well, interestingly enough, as a result of a recent, not recent, but a court decision that you're well aware of, social media is not necessarily protected against keeping those names private.
Well,
Protected.
that's true.
Yeah. So if in a case where it really is bad or there's something that's really significant, the courts can go after those names.
I mean, the only place for that was, I mean, you had in one of the local newspapers
Right.
was having anonymous comments, but on Facebook, you have to leave your name.
Right, correct.
On other social media, you at least have an identity
Yep.
that can be
You do.
tracked down to
Track down,
somebody.
correct.
And so you don't do that. But Scott, you started going door to door. You have your door hanger. What are some of the things you're listing on there why people should vote for you?
Well, some of the stuff I believe, the safety of our students is the main concern.
Right.
Because all the stuff that's going on in the country, I know they do a lot here. They do a good job. Only takes one person still to get in, then go to the basketball game and open fire.
Well, as you know, all the school buildings have police radios where they can radio right to the police
Yes,
station.
they do.
In the week we were taping, there was an incident at the library this week, because the show will air this week. There was an incident at the library this week where one of the women was attacked by somebody with problem issues.
Yes, I know.
They didn't call on the radio; they called on the phone. So you have to retrain
Yep.
people to constantly do that.
Because split second, you do that. It happens.
Yeah, and fortunately, at least from what I know, nobody was seriously hurt in that incident. But, you know, you're right, with the prevalence of guns.
And this society is a lot different than when we grew up.
But I also think you take it the other extreme. I mean, don't forget Milford's the place where the kid went bang, bang and got suspended for that, or zap, zap.
Yep.
That's right, he was a ray gun, so he went zap, zap, and somebody complained and he got suspended. So there's a balance you have to look for in there. But obviously, school safety is an issue.
Yeah, a lot of people talk to me about that. They like to see better safety in the schools. I agree. Because this day and age, it's not like when I growing up.
Now, what
Well,
else?
you don't know today what somebody will bring in.
You don't know. It could
Well-
be.
What else do you have on your?
The other thing is all the students that are leaving the school district. They go to the best schools, like they go to Blackstone Valley Tech. They go to a lot of those schools. We don't have a lot of the trade, but you can't have a lot anyway because they took it out years ago.
And put it in BVT. So
Yep.
there's a balance there. But then there's also an argument that BVT isn't taking enough people from the towns.
And now they're taking the top ones from every town, too, I hear. They take the top one of the class.
Who wants to go there?
Who wants
Yep.
to go there? The
But
top.
what do you do also for the kids that want to go there and they don't have room?
Gotta find other programs. That's the key with the middle school east. If we can move their offices out, there's even free room to add some new programs that the other schools don't have, because you can't have both in every school.
Right. So, but they added the travel and hospitality, which BVT doesn't have.
And that's good. They're
And
doing good with that.
that's working well with some people. What about, I don't know, how would you keep the kids in the school? If most of the losses are at the elementary level, what would you do to keep them there?
You gotta reach out to them, ask them what they like, what they want to see in the schools, and try to do it for them and keep them here.
Okay.
Work with them and their parents.
In the case of where the schools did ask people, the reason they got was the parents didn't like the diversity of the school system. Now, some people like it and some people don't. You can't really change that,
No, it's here. You can't change it.
but it's always been here.
Yes, it has been.
That's one of a lot of people think that's, or see that as a significant advantage to the district, is that it has a diversity. So kids grow up in
I
an
mean,
environment
you know,
like the world
we
is.
forget
Yep.
before, today you have the Ecuadorians and Egyptians. Before that, you had the Brazilians. Before
Portuguese.
that, you had the Portuguese. Before that, you had the Irish and Italians. So it's always been
It's
here.
always been here. But people seem to take a blind eye on it. I'm like, it's always been here. We all came from somewhere, you know. I understand both sides of the aisles, beliefs, but nothing to do with their kids.
So, but what are you going to do if somebody says, I'm leaving because I don't like the diversity in the school system?
Yeah, well, if you want to leave, you got to leave. I can't hold you from staying.
Right,
It's their decision.
okay. And what are some of the other issues you have on your flyer?
That's the main two.
Okay.
Is there anything else that you'd, how about Common Core? What do you think about Common Core, the Common Core curriculum?
It's down, probably because, well, like we were just saying, you got all those other minority kids here. A lot
Well-
of that does do it, but the people don't realize that.
But if you
They're
look at,
learning though too.
yeah, but if you look at Common Core, I think Al's asking Common Core versus the old MCAS.
Right.
But, you know, I find it very hard to know. Common Core was developed by 40 or 50 of the state governors and their commissions. But all of a sudden in the presidential campaign, it's now being demonized as something bad. I mean, do you think it's bad or worth keeping?
Probably worth keeping. The kids will learn.
It's interesting that the debate, because I've seen a lot of the press or a lot of the postings and a lot of the stuff on the internet about the way Common Core, you teach Common Core math, for example, which is contrary to, opposite to what we've learned. We learned to memorize the multiplication tables. They get there a different way.
Well, I just saw something very funny. I got my, reveal my age, but I got my latest AARP newsletter in the mail today.
Oh, you're an old guy.
But yeah. Compared to you, I'm a youngster. So,
Ooh.
and he's the kid. But they had a, now I don't know if it was an April Fool's joke in it, but they had a press statement from the folks that do the SAT on why they weren't going to concentrate on kids memorizing vocabulary words, and the entire press release was in gigantic words that you couldn't understand. And it had to be an April Fool's joke, because it was just, unless the people at SAT really did that on purpose, but it was, you know, saying they no longer wanted kids to memorize prodigious words, and
Oh.
everything was a long, big, multi-syllable word. I just was kind of laughing at that, but I don't know. You know, I grew up in the era of new math where it wasn't good enough to learn the way my parents learned. They had to
Set theory.
put it in their new way. To this day, I have no idea what set theory is, and I'm, you know, I never did well in math, and
Me neither.
I
so
actually
don't
did
feel
poorly
bad.
in geometry and algebra. You know, x equals y minus 2 plus this. It doesn't mean anything to me because it's not there in reality. You know, I know enough math to know
Same
how to
here.
use a calculator
Yep.
and do things.
Ooh.
And still do long division by hand. But I don't, you know, I never took calculus, but I
Wow.
suppose if that's what you need today.
That's great. Now I can play with your pay, and you'll never know the difference.
Oh, that I know.
Oh.
That I do know, Al.
Oh, shoot. Well, you got to try your. The interesting part about you say that, when I was in college, I failed calculus the first time. I was good in algebra, trigonometry,
And
geometry.
you were an electrical engineer.
Yeah, it's a scary thought, isn't it? Scary thought. But the long and short of it is that I think kids today, I think, know a heck of a lot more at a younger age than we did.
They do, and what they also know
They do.
from being the internet generation
Yes.
is what I hear talking to my own kids is not only they know different things, they know where to get things. Where we memorize, they less memorization, but they know where to get the answer if they can't figure it out.
Well, that was one of the things that my professors all said when I was in college. I don't know if you got the same thing, but my professors always said, look, I'm going to teach you the concepts, the theories, but one of the main things you want to learn when you get to college is learn where to go to get the information. And we're now pushing that down to a younger age, which is a good thing. You know, they don't necessarily have to have the answer, they have to seek it out.
I don't know, but I at least know how to make change for dollar without when the electronic cash register goes off, and most kids today don't.
Okay. Now that's another scary thought, making change.
I could do it. Give me a minute, but I could do it.
What I think is funny is, you know, my son Tim worked a retail job for a couple of years. And one day he handed back change to somebody of a certain age, and the person looked at him and said, now who taught you how to hand change that way? Because he counted out the coins and then he counted out the
Yep.
bills for change. And he said, my dad. And he said, because most kids your age don't know how to do that.
Well, I learned that some years back. I wanted to get a cup of coffee at a restaurant, and a teenager was waiting on me, and they couldn't make change. I had to explain to him, okay, the change is a nickel, 2 pennies, give me a quarter, and we're good to go, you know, kind of
No,
thing.
well, we're putting him on the spot because obviously I don't think that's taught in the school community. Well, that is a question. Would you favor the schools teach some basic skills to the kids, like how to balance a checkbook?
That's a yes.
You know, they don't teach home ec anymore, so
No.
nobody knows how to sew, so everybody throws out something
It
or
is something we
rips.
could bring back, yes.
Well, that's interesting. One of the things that's moved out of the schools, and you mentioned it earlier, this trades, or not trades,
Yeah.
but life skills. And those life skills are no longer taught in the schools, and it makes sense to bring some of that stuff back.
You know, how to sew up a rip in clothing,
Yeah.
how to balance a checkbook.
How your government works.
That's a good yes.
At least how local government works.
Yes.
I just noticed there's a lot of common sense lacking in I don't want to say the kids in school. I'd say the generation right after they're in school, sort of the 20s and 30s, there's a lot of common sense lacking in people. Whether it's not been taught or they just don't get it.
Some don't get it probably.
But I mean, you're a guy I would say works for a living and
Yep, I get it. I understand what I have to do. I have to work, I have to do this and that, pay my bills when I get them.
Yeah.
Well,
And you gotta do your stuff. I get it though. I watch the TV. I understand what goes on in the world. Some people don't, but that's all right.
But the school committee tends to deal with, like, to me, I call big issues, policy issues, and the budget issues. Do you think the town funds the schools enough?
Some people, if you hear them, say they should have less funded, but you have to fund them so those kids get a good education.
I'm the belief right now, you know, I'm 62 years old, I'm not ashamed to say it, and I want the kids coming up in the world to get the best education possible, and I say this sincerely, not as a joke. I want them to get the best paying jobs possible so they can pay the benefits that'll pay me in my old age.
Yes.
And so I don't mind when in the town I live in, they ask for more money for the schools. I look at it going, it's going to benefit me. But I remember Bob Tremblay said something one day on this very show, which is that he's educating kids for jobs that don't exist yet. And no one knows what they are. Because when you take a kid in at first grade, no
Yep.
one knows where the economy is going to be 18 years from
No,
now.
we
or
don't.
what jobs will be out there. I mean, I look at what my kids do for a living, and granted, computers existed, but I've got a son making quite a nice living being a network security engineer, whatever that is.
Well, when you first went into kindergarten, they had slate tablets. Come on.
Well, actually, they had worse. They had the little clay tablets.
Oh, that's true.
Like
You
in
had to-
ancient Samaria,
right,
they'd
right.
mark it down. We'd like to kid each other. But I mean, so you don't mind educating the kids?
No.
and
How
giving
about
them what they
Because-
technology? The technology issue, because a lot of schools now are moving in a direction where they're giving kids iPads.
Well, the best thing about that, when they broke off with the town, broke off with them, I think that's the best thing that could happen. They should both have their own separate IT. One guy can't do the whole town.
Right, but you think the school guy should focus on educational stuff.
Yes.
So do you support the kids having these Chromebooks and learning how to use them?
That's probably, yeah, probably say yes. That's the future, where
Well,
they're going.
see, I look at most business people, and when I was in the workforce full-time, everybody brought a laptop home. Today, everybody's got a tablet, and they bring the tablet home.
Yep.
So we're asking the kids to do what they're doing in the business world. Now, obviously, if you're a carpenter, you don't carry around maybe you do, to
I
show
don't
pictures
know.
of your work, but you know, carpenters and plumbers may not need this stuff, but the kids going into the office world do.
Well, actually, the technology goes to every trade also, because you can now, on your iPhone, you can run a business. You can run your checkbook. You can pay bills. You can.
I think
collect-
people in the trades can show off the work they've done. And,
Yeah. So there's.
You know,
so-
if a carpenter's trying to show me a deck he's built, if I want a deck built, he could go here. Here's the
There's a
last 5
picture
decks
right
I
off
built.
my, here you go, like, looks good, you hired.
He can also calculate out the costs right in front of me.
Yep, that's the
And
way I
also
love it.
invoice you right off the phone. You can also pay him right to his phone.
But also, you know, when my dad had cancer, we're sitting at the oncologist. The oncologist pulls up an iPad. I'll never forget this. And he said, okay, you know, my dad had bladder cancer. Here's your bladder. Now let me draw where your tumor is. And he showed how big it was and how they were going to shrink it. He showed it all in this program. And I'm just looking at that. My dad was astounded, but I'm looking at it and I
Technology.
said, now, I never would have envisioned 20 years ago a doctor sitting there showing me, you know, the progress of a tumor and how the drug can attack it.
It's
Amazing with technology today.
Well, and we're moving more and more towards technology, and to the point that we're teaching kids or training kids in jobs that don't exist right now. I mean, just look at the technology in the time we've been alive. I mean,
Well, you know, I don't know if I necessarily want to sit here and tell my refrigerator what to do based on my phone, or the so-called Internet of Things, where you can do that. But I certainly would like, in the summer, to say, you know, we're taping on a day when it's over almost 80 degrees. I certainly would like to go and say, okay, I'm going to be home in an hour, turn the air conditioner on a half an hour before I get home, and cool the house off. But if I'm not there, don't put it on and waste money.
Yep.
You can do that now.
You could do that now. So, but we got to educate people how to design these things. So that gets
Yeah.
back to you know, to that. But
Well,
you went through the school system here.
Yes.
You're a Milford native. What did you think of it when you went through it?
It wasn't bad. We had your up and downs with the kids, you bullied and stuff. But you didn't have everything like they have today. We didn't have all that technology. It just started coming out back then.
Okay.
so do you support the schools providing these high-tech pads to the students? And some schools are going that direction. Do you think that's a good idea, or do you think
It
that's
has to
something?
be see if it's in the budget too, because it's going to cost money.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, is there anything that schools currently do you disagree with?
I don't see nothing right now.
I mean, you've got a strong athletic program. You have a strong academic program.
We do.
All the fields at the high school were just redone, although I hear they want to build some more. I don't know, you know, how do you,
We always need a field, I guess. They always run out of rooms. More and more kids want to play sports. That's a good thing. I like seeing that.
okay. Is there anything that schools don't have you'd like to see them have? I mean, you talked about trying to make people happy who are leaving, but are there some things you think the school district doesn't offer that it should offer?
And they got a good music program. We always offer more music and arts too. Keeps getting some of them to go that way.
Music and arts.
I know they have them, but you could always get more. Because a lot of people miss that stuff too today. A lot of them don't do it like they used to when I was coming through the Brookside and all that. That's what they had. A lot of that back then.
Everybody had to take art growing up.
Yep.
Everybody had to take
Take
certain
music.
subjects.
Today it's a little different, but I think that'd be nice to see come back.
So music and art are important. Obviously, reading, writing, and arithmetic. That's
Yep.
kind of a base stuff. Anything else you'd like to see in the system that's not there? Or do you see an increase in athletics would be a good thing?
More athletics. They got a good program. They do very well.
How about the ELL issue? I mean, that was a big issue last year, was the
Yep.
budget had to go up because there are a lot of ELL students. That doesn't seem to be a burning issue this year. I guess the population is leveled off in the school.
I think so. But a lot of people came through there. Not all of them. You hit Joe Marias. For
Joe
example.
Marias was on the show. He said he went
Yeah,
through it.
He went through it. Al Crier too.
Al Crier, who's a noted finance committee member, runs a show on Milford TV. He went
So
through the
people
program.
should be careful what they say about those. A lot of good people came through.
And I
there.
look at Al, certainly done very well in life.
Yes,
So
he
Yes.
you know, Joe Marias has done very
Yes,
well.
he has.
I look at the people who emigrated from Portugal in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, seem to be doing very well.
Well, that's big.
It's a great program to have.
A program in this district that is a significant program that's brought people a long way. It's really-
To me, Milford is an immigrant town.
Yeah, it is.
And well, all towns are immigrant towns, but
Yes,
I think
they are.
Milford, by
I
virtue
think
of
it's
the
a little
housing.
more.
Well, you have the housing stock that a Mendon or Hopedale doesn't have,
No, we
or
don't.
Hopkinton,
Nope.
that tends to
Draw them in.
draw them in. But I think some people resent it and look like it's never happened before. But I mean, you had, you know, if you look at the quarries and the waves of Italian immigrants around
Yep.
the turn of the century,
My grandfather came from Italy.
the Irish right before that. If you go up to Prospect Heights, you name all the nationalities
Armenians,
there.
all of them came through there.
Armenian, Polish, Greek.
Greek.
Every town has that, but it seems the ELL program got a focus because maybe, I don't know.
Well, it gave people a common language. Everybody's language was different, and it
Yeah.
brought them all together in one language,
Yep.
which is so they could all communicate. And what that
You
did
know,
was make this-
I grew up in an Italian neighborhood in the 1950s and 60s in New Jersey, and I remember, you know, everybody spoke English to each other, but the families, when they were together, it would be all Italian in my neighborhood, and nobody worried about that. I learned some pretty good words growing up.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't speak one word of it, and I got the name. But that's what I was brought up learning the American way.
Yeah.
So my grandfather, he came over from the old country. My father, he didn't speak it either. Like, wow.
Well, that's,
But-
you know, the interesting part about it is that one of the things that was really good is that it allowed everybody to speak a common language or learn a common language.
I was going to say the great melting pot, but
Well, that's exactly.
you don't
the
hear
case.
that term today, but everybody came here looking for a better life, and
Yep.
I don't begrudge them that.
And they still do.
I mean, I always tell people the story of my mother's mother was an engineer on a ship, and the ship was going, he was German, and the ship was going from Buenos Aires, Argentina to Baltimore. They had a storm. He got a compound fracture in his arm. He fell off the railing, got a compound fracture. The ship's doctor couldn't handle it. They dropped him off in Baltimore. Said, "Congratulations, you're in America." And left him there and sailed without him. That's how my mother's family came here. And by the way, he and my grandmother on my mother's side, well, he was dead before I was born, but my grandmother spoke German in the house and then English outside. And to me, it was evidently I could speak German until she died. I could speak
I
German.
know a lot of friends, their families still do that. They
Yeah.
speak their language in the house.
Yeah.
Outside, they talk to you in English. That's fine, I go.
Yeah.
And I don't see nothing wrong with it.
Okay. Well, we've got a couple of minutes left, Scott. This is your chance to, without us interfering, to tell the folks watching why should they elect you to school committee. So
Now,
this is your free advertisement.
I'd be fair and balanced, clear head on my shoulders. If there's something big that needs to be voted on, I will vote on it the right way. And I'd be a good person to be on the board. I'll look out for the people's interests.
Okay. How do you define the right way? Is it what you feel about an issue?
Yes,
Based on the values you have growing up?
based on the values. I was brought up in the right way, good way, and I
Okay.
will still do that in the school system.
Okay.
If I see something wrong, I will vote for it. I'm not going to vote for everything yes all the time. If I have to vote for something no, I will.
Okay. Well, with that note, we wish you well on April 5th, and thank
Thank
you
you.
for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.